Hello, I'm Lauren, and this is Improving the World. I'm an international improviser based in Hong Kong, and I speak with amazing improv women all over the world. Today, I talk to Eva Gilliam, an American living in South Africa who returned to her passion of improv after a break, and in doing so, ended up founding an improv festival. I hope you enjoy. You are, like me, someone from California, and then you have made your way off into the wild world. And at present, you are in South Africa.
A town called Bos, which is like 3 hours out of Cape Town.
You and I are talking today in the world of improv about this idea of coming back to something that you love and how maybe it's evolved or you've evolved. You are a filmmaker, multimedia, you do journalism, you are also an improviser and director, and you run an improv festival called Mama City.
Yeah, the festival actually, it's like having a baby. I forget every year how much work it is and how painful it can be. And then when it comes around, it's like months and months of daily.
It's an intentional cognitive dissonance for mental safety. And then you're like, let's do this again.
Yeah, that was amazing. Let's do it again. And it is amazing. And it's a wonderful experience. It's so much work to make it look like not work.
For anyone who hasn't heard of your festival, give me a one sentence of what the festival is or what it does.
An all improv festival with workshops by day and shows by night. A focus on long form, although not exclusive.
And how long does it last, the festival?
This year was 5 days and 4 nights. We are the only festival on the continent for international festival. There are some a local troupe that does like a marathon festival every year. As far as international troupes go, for a long time there was just one, and about 10 years ago the second one was born, and then for many years it was just two. So we didn't have a lot of input. We didn't have a lot of teachers. There were no improv books at the bookshop, and so every once in a while one of us would go out, leave the continent to do whatever, travel, visit people, take an improv class, and come back with tons of notes and then go, okay, this is what I learned. These are some exercises for character and exercises for this and that. So I came from the States many years ago and had seen what's possible in the improv world and wanted to inject Cape Town with some inspiration of this is what long form can be. Let's look at some pros, and here are some teachers who are going to teach us all of different formats and different techniques and inspire us and give us a big shot of improv that we could then deconstruct throughout the year, and also develop our community a bit, because this troupe did improv over there and this troupe did improv over there, the only two troupes, but there wasn't a lot of cohesive spirit. The idea was to build that up with instruction, and that came out because Ashley Como in Toronto, she and her partner are part of the Lusty Mannequins, and they have family in Cape Town, and they contacted our troupe and said, we'd like to come, can we do some workshops for you in exchange for getting our tickets between Toronto and Cape Town are quite expensive, and so we were saying, well, if we're going to do that, maybe we need to do more. My troupe is like, we can't organize a festival, that's crazy. I'm like, yes, we can. Let's try it out. So
going back to what I said earlier, you took a break from improv. Tell me a little bit about that, and why did you choose to take a break?
Well, I started improv at university, kind of auditioned on a whim. After 2 years, I was going through a really tough time at school and a breakup and all this stuff. And I was kicked out of my troupe, actually. They came and said, we feel like you're not really being very funny these days, and you're kind of not up to what we want to be doing as a troupe, so we'd like you to stop coming to rehearsals.
Whoa.
And I was absolutely devastated.
Yeah.
And because I thought they were coming to ask me to be more involved in the troupe, and then they came to, so I was completely devastated. I, in the interim, really grown to love improv. So after I got over my devastation, I focused more on university, and I finished a bit early. And when I moved out to Montana after university, I thought, I want to start my own troupe because I really miss it. While I may not have been funny at that time, I don't think that's a huge problem that I have. I got a gig first. I talked to someone at a theater and was like, don't you want some improv? And then was like, oh gosh, okay, now I need to get a troupe together. So felt out a few different people at different environments and asked other friends who I thought were great if they knew people, and we started doing our own thing, short form, in Missoula, Montana for almost 5 years. At the end, we were packing out the old Post Pub and Grill every Monday night, and then doing short little tours around eastern Montana and northern Idaho.
How did it come to pass that you took a break? And then I guess what brought you back?
That was the first coming back. After that, I moved back to New York and did a little bit of UCB and took some classes. This was in 2000. And then I got a job in Democratic Republic of Congo. And then I moved to Africa in 2001. And I was living in a war zone, and I was with internationals from all over the world, and there was not a whole lot of comedy. There was not a whole lot of performance or opportunity for that kind of thing. I organized karaoke nights and things like that, but it didn't feel like the environment for improv. So I took that break for 3 years, and then when I moved to South Africa, there was one troupe and not a lot of opportunities for classes. And I also just was a little shell-shocked from my time in Congo, and I couldn't take the responsibility of having a rehearsal every week. And so I took a break. And then in 2012, after a year in Kenya, I was heading back to Cape Town, and something just clicked, and I was like, okay, this is enough now. We need to be playing again. And there's got to be something that's happened in Cape Town in the time that I've been gone. So I just Googled improv in Cape Town, and the Long Shots, which is my troupe you see behind me, popped up, and they had weekly drop-ins. And so I started going to drop-in, and it was a real coming home. It was a playful, expansive time and a real connection with the new teammates. And I was instantly trying to help out the troupe with their shows and what they were doing, with the hopes that I could eventually be a member of the troupe. And then within a few months, they had asked me to join.
It sounds like you dipped your toes in and out of the improv water at various points and in different geographies. So you took about a decade off. There was something for that moment that made you Google. What was it that was that string that pulled you back? Why was it the right time to come back? Or how did you know it was something that you needed to come back to?
In my time in Kenya, I was working in a great office with wonderful people at UNICEF, and I kept trying to organize, what do they call it, where everyone brings their own talent. And people were always like, yeah, but no one was really willing to commit. Everyone was feeling very shy and very self-conscious. Consequently, I didn't get to really play in that way. And I think the work that I was doing there was really stressful again. And I thought, I need an outlet, a place to play. When I came back to Cape Town, I thought, okay, if there is nothing that I can join, then I need to start something up again. I let the travel really stop me from doing improv a lot. And so I think when I came back this time, I was like, well, I'll do what I can. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I got to try.
Do you feel that your relationship with improv changed? You came back to it, you ended up finding yourself running a festival. You are seeing it now from an administrative place and behind the scenes and logistical. Does it feel like a different relationship now?
It does. I had a lot of access when I was in my early 20s. There wasn't a lot here. I felt like it would be great to be the facilitator, to be the conduit for improv to grow here. I mean, Cape Town is such a vibrant city, and there's so many amazing things going on. So many actors and performers, but I'm not an actor. I'm not trained in any of that stuff, but it's something that I love. And I think that that outlet for people is vital for those who are bankers and lawyers and all these things. Vital that they get to live that bit of dream, you know? For me, it was like, okay, I have the opportunity to bring it here because I've seen what it's like outside and I have connections and I'm able to do that. So Mama City wasn't meant to be maternal. It was more meant to be like a play on Mother City, which is Cape Town's nickname. But I think in a sense it does have a maternal feel to it, you know, the offering of something. And I think Ashley Como feels the same way.
Do you then now, you personally, your improv or improv as a concept, does it serve a similar purpose?
Oh, I think it's very different for me now. Previously, it was really just a hobby and an activity. And now it's kind of a career shift for me and not so much as a performer. And that makes me sad a little bit because all of the administration does keep me out of the performance a bit. But at the same time, bringing it to people, either doing corporate, the festival, classes, gives me a different opportunity professionally. Is that what you meant? Your question.
Yeah, I meant nothing and everything at the same time. So no matter what you say, it's perfect. I'm going to yes and you no matter what you do. I'm here to make you look good. Yeah. You talked earlier about being in an improv group and then the improv group like shunned you and you were hurt and trying to get back into something, it's hard to not compare oneself with others or compare your festival with other festivals or the scene where you are with another scene. And we do this so much in life. I don't know if this is a gendered discussion or not. It doesn't have to be. I think that we all do this. We are given so many examples by society and life and media of what comparison can be for you in terms of your improv or the improv scene that you are part of and help to manage. How do you get out of that headspace of comparison?
Yeah, that's a great question because it just keeps coming back and it keeps having to be pushed down. And often I forget, I don't even actually recognize it at first. And I just sort of get in my head and someone, my partner or a friend will kind of be like, hey, what's going on? It takes a little conversation to go, actually, this is because I feel like my last show was so bad. And they're like, wait a minute. What are you doing? There's no room for that. There's no place for that. Bad show, over. And often I will compare myself to some of the other improvisers that come from overseas or even the local ones because I feel like because I run the festival, I should be a really good improviser. Those two are not necessarily married, And for me, it's really just recognizing that that's what's going on. So often I don't even recognize it. And then when I start to compare this phrase that a friend of mine, improviser Jay Suko in LA, reminded me the other day that comparison is the thief of joy. And so just to remember, what is the point of comparing? All of the variables leading to that moment for two different people are completely different. So there's no footing to compare. Just remembering helps me.
I heartily concur with that. Well done, Jay, on that one. He's so lovely. So do you think that awareness then of this comparative nature of yourself, oneself, can then shift that into being something productive? Is there a way to take that awareness of the comparison and cognizance of it to then shift it to help it be something productive rather than negative and harping at you?
Yeah, I think that's the next level or the next step is to go, okay, what is the point of comparison? They're better at this than me. Is the judgment that comes from the comparison, or even I'm better than them. I mean, that is also part of the comparison, right? And then it's the other way around. And then it's like, okay, so that's just me. I want that thing that they have rather than make me wrong or them wrong. It's like, oh, that's pointing to something I'd like to have. How can I have that thing without belittling the other person to make my little bit of this thing feel bigger or crapping on myself and think I'll never have it? It's like, okay, she's really good at characters. I'm so bad at characters. Actually, I'd like to be better at characters. How can I do that?
I like that. That's nice. I think that one of the things that we are lucky about as improvisers is that in the improv world, especially if you work with kind and lovely people who I only hope that we all do. We are ideally all creating a safe space. Sorry, I'm from California. I love saying safe space. When you are there improvising, you are there to make each other look good. So of course you are there to make sure that you are bringing positive energy and good supportive options. But additionally, you are there to make each other look good. And if we're all doing that together, then we're making this, again, quote unquote, safe space in which then you can, to your point, look at what other people are bringing to the table and use it as a jumping off point to learn from them and share with them so that they too can get that from you. As someone who runs a festival, do you try to create this atmosphere within the context of the festival as a whole or the workshops or who you bring? Is this something you think about?
Absolutely. I have to say, Ashley Como is probably one of the most positive people I've ever met.
We love that.
And so lovely and positive reinforcement at all times. Working with her, she pretty much chooses the Canadian teachers she'd like to bring, and she only brought amazing people. No one has ever come as a teacher or a performer who wasn't really wonderful and had that attitude and just completely enforced the idea that mistakes are wonderful. Mistakes are encouraged. Easy to see the kind of underdog in a class and lift them up. Easy to see the arrogant person in the class and help them have an attitude of relaxed. And maybe in their mind, they're like, where's that arrogance coming from? It's insecurity. Let's work on this thing. I'm not sure how they all do it, but it feels like there's some medicine at the end of festival where everyone really feels like they've grown, shined, learned. By the end of the week, it's quite gushy.
May I ask how big the festival is, and if people want to come and either attend or potentially teach, how does that work? If anyone is watching this and is curious about Mama City.
Festivals in Cape Town summer, so that those in a cold climate are really encouraged to come. Sometimes I have teachers earmarked through conversations and meetings at other festivals. Sometimes they're open call for teachers. Improvisers also open call for applications. And this year we had 7 teachers, and then we had probably about 50 participants in classes throughout the 5 days. And then we had 7 troops, 4 of which were local and 3 were international. Yeah. So it's quite intimate, and you definitely get to know people by the end quite well. We love people to come from around the world and bring your knowledge and bring your playfulness. We had a guy come for the 2nd time from Australia who just loves the festival. 2 guys for the 2nd time from Phoenix, Arizona. It's got a really sweet, intimate vibe.
Aw. That's a good sales pitch. That should be your tagline. Sweet and intimate. It's my new brand of tea. Sweet and intimate. You too can have a cup. So, Eva, words of wisdom for us, please. You have been a person who has done improv in different cities, countries, continents. You have been parts of different groups and been parts of different schools of thought. You've taken a break from improv and come back to it. And you have started a festival. If somebody is watching this and they were the early version of you, or if they are a peer or someone who's never done improv before, what do you want them to know? What are your words of wisdom?
Follow the joy. Acknowledge the fear and tell it to just sit in the corner. Because the fear is there. I mean, always there. It's there when I get up to say, thank you for coming to the festival and have a good night. There's always this little thing. And then to really just follow the joy every time and remind yourself to follow the joy. When it comes to comparison, when it comes to all that stuff, just follow that joy. Get in there, follow it.
I'll put links below to the festival information, but if people want to throw money at you, hire you, you do many different things. As we said, you are a filmmaker as much as you are a multimedia journalist, as much as you are an improviser. So if people want to get a hold of you, do you have a website or resources where they should find you?
Absolutely. They can go through the Mama City Improv Fest website and they can see all the pictures from the last 2 years. And then they can also go to my multimedia website, which is evagilliam.com, and look at some of the photographs and look at some of my videos.
Thank you so very much for your time. I really appreciate it. It was absolutely wonderful to speak with you. And I love seeing your improv group behind you there.
It's actually from the festival. So some people from my group and some others.
For anyone who wants to know more or find out about the festival or Eva, I'll put information below. If you are looking for more interesting interviews with amazing women from all around the world who do improv, this is Improving the World. I am Lauren, and there are more videos to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lauren. It was wonderful to chat with you. Take care.
Cheers. Bye. So, did you love the video? If you did, please say kind and wonderful things in the comments down below and look for more Improving the World. Thanks.